Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of GCC's Georgia Chiro Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Kathy, and I'm excited because today's guest is coming to us all the way live from Maine. Hey, Dr. Katie.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How about you?
Very good. Very good. Busy day for everybody, right? It's always a busy day. Good day.
Always a busy day.
Yep, I
Same
love
as
it. I love it. So listen, I want to thank you first and foremost for coming on because the GCC, we love to do this call where we bring different doctors on that basically just share what's going on in their practice or how they're impacting their community or some patient stories or something of interest that could help other doctors and the students that are watching so that they can grow and really help make a big difference in their community. So let's jump right into it. How are you up in Maine? I know you've got two offices up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I was going to say, how are you basically impacting your community and making sure that people understand what chiropractic is and the benefits for them and their family?
Yeah. So our offices are we do a lot of community events, not necessarily as much community awareness for chiropractic, but more of like bring people to our offices. So for example, we have a monthly mommy mixer. It's the second Tuesday of every month, and it brings new moms to our office that are exposed to our current moms. And basically our community, our chiropractic community, then teaches our community about what we have going on there. So it's a different theme every month. Last night was like field day games. But the new people get to be exposed through my people, which makes it really nice for me because I can kind of stand back and answer their questions and talk to them about chiropractic. They're in our office, so they already see all the kids' faces everywhere and all the family testimonials that are streaming through the TVs. And then it lets my community really work for them, which they love because all of our people want to refer more people and tell more people, but they don't always know how. So when they're kind of exposed to these people and they can say, oh, my baby's been getting adjusted since birth, or I've been getting adjusted all through my pregnancy, or whatever the case is. And they really do the teaching for us. So tonight is our book club, our women's book club. And same thing, it starts with, a decent amount of patients, and then all these other strangers start coming and we just kind of build it from there.
I like that idea because your patients are now your third party endorsement, but they're in your space. So that hesitation that people have, because a lot of times people don't know what goes on in a chiropractic office, or they've heard stories, or they've, heard from a cousin's cousin who knew someone who thought they knew someone who said something crazy, and they've never set foot in a chiropractic office. So the thought of walking in is the hardest part, right? They don't know what they're about to experience. So to get them in there for something fun, and then not to have you explain chiropractic, but to hear from your patients, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really has been great for us. And honestly, a lot of them become patients. And, every once in a while there won't be. There's one who's been coming to Mommy Mixer for a long time. She's not a patient, but I notice on like any mom's page, she puts my name for everything, or she's very active. I'm not exactly sure why she hasn't become a patient. I think it's honestly for her insurance. We don't take insurance. But she's been great at still promoting. So you're still building that community, and you have more people who are, telling your story and telling your brand, which is what it's all about for us.
And the reality is there's restaurants in our community that we know the owners, we probably don't eat there on a regular basis because it's not our style of food, right? But when somebody asks, that's where we're going to tell them to go to. So maybe it's just she enjoys it. And like you said, maybe it's just her insurance or for whatever reason. But the fact that she's helping to endorse you in social media posts, that's tremendous.
Priceless.
It is, absolutely. And I like the idea of the book club too. So it's just another way of getting people to come and get involved.
Yeah. And the book club's interesting because it attracts a different group of people. So the mommy one started, I take care of a lot of military families because my office is really close to the shipyard, and our military base isn't a big one like Hawaii or even some of the Georgia ones. They don't do a lot of stuff. So these moms didn't have a good support system. And so I was talking to my moms and they were saying, we need to meet more people. That's kind of how that one started. And then book club, we just asked our patients, what do they want? And we do that in our other office. And it's been interesting. Our offices are about 35 minutes apart. A good amount of people come from our farther office to come to book club, and they bring their friends and they've become patients too. So it's fun.
I love it. I love it. So that's a different spin on community involvement, because a lot of times when you mention the word community involvement, especially to the students, they're thinking of screenings, they're thinking of health talks, they're thinking of like a lunch and learn. But to actually do something that gets the people in your door, it takes away that barrier, which is one of the big barriers for people to initiate care. So I love that idea. Tell us, on the days when, life happens, because we all have life happen to us, how do you stay focused, and how do you stay grounded in your philosophy, or in, why you're there and what we do and how do we do it better? How do you stay grounded?
I think mostly it's all the principles that we've learned at DE forever, all the things Dr. Sid talked about. So morning prep is huge for me. My morning routines, my writing, my gratitudes, my Sigafus was huge on write what your day is going to look like. And yeah, it can go off course for sure. Life happens, but I try to kind of remember, like, this is why I'm doing this. This is what it's for. It's for the people. Lately, I feel constantly my mantra of the year has been, you never know how far reaching, right? And I try to keep that in my head, because we don't know. You can have an off day, you can have a crazy day, but everything that we do, we don't necessarily see the effect, but it is making a huge effect lifelong.
I told a story recently about, like, there was an old man, not an old man, but an older man down the block from me who did brickwork. And after he would work all day, when he would get home, he would lay one brick and put the mortar in it around his curb. That was it, just one. And in your mind, you're like, are you crazy? Why would you do all that work to just do one brick? But over time, not only did he have a beautiful walkway, he had, the sidewalk, the curb, all the way through the driveway. And then he ended up doing a whole courtyard in the backyard. He's already dressed and ready to do it. Why not do one more for his own family? But in the initial time when I saw him doing it, I thought, this guy's crazy. What are you doing that one little bit for? But it was a major life lesson. And what you just said just like hit me right in the heart. It's some days you don't realize that little bit that you do makes a difference. That little bit, it's what you do every day that adds up over time.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
Yeah.
And every adjustment adds up, right? So every adjustment's building on the next one and the last one. And it's powerful stuff. Most people don't understand how powerful it is. That's really what it comes down to.
Talk to me about the practice that you've got from Sigafus about, like, writing out your day in advance. That is pretty magical.
Yeah, I love that. So I will write it like it's already happened, right? He used to use the example of visualizing. If you're visualizing the orange, you have to, like, what color is the orange, and smell it, and the little white pulpies in there. So I write it that it's happening. I write that, today's Wednesday. What is it? Today's Wednesday, July 12th. And then exactly how it's going to go. And how many people I'm going to see, and what kinds of new patients we're going to attract. Or today I'm going to receive an amazing testimonial, and we'll make a whiteboard out of it. And I literally write down to everything. And then and we're going to have, 15 strangers at Books and Bubbles tonight, or whatever. And it works. I mean, the stuff works, right? So it's not always exact, and then I like when you kind of fall off of a practice every once in a while, because we're human. You take a couple of days where you don't do it, and then you do it the next day and you're like, it was right on. It was right on. Why did I take any days off? So it's about consistency for me. I'm definitely a very structured person. Consistency is my key. So I do it and I create what I want it to be.
I love that. We always learn so much from the people that came before us. And I was on a coaching call yesterday with one of my clients, and she was talking about something that she had learned 30 years ago, 40 years ago from Sigafus, and something that she had picked up from Dr. Sid. And one of the things that kind of struck me in that conversation, and is striking me right now, is Dr. Chuck Ribley. As most people know, he just recently passed. River just passed. And one of the things, we would sit in meetings and he would talk about, the magic is within, the magic is in you, the magic is in you. And so we had little buttons made for one of the events that said the magic is in you. And it's that energy that you get and the lessons that you learn from the people that have gone before us, that if we can take a little bit of that and we can adopt it and we can add it into our lifestyle, it fast forwards us, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to understand every little step. We just have to take the step. We have to have the faith, take the step, and keep moving forward. And I think when we can look back at the people that came before us who really helped shape this profession, and we can learn from them and incorporate it into our own lives, it just helps us to be a better chiropractor, but a better human as well.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I
It's all
love
about
it.
life. So we need to be the best humans we can be.
Absolutely. Can you share one of your patient stories with us?
Yeah, let's see. There's always someone. Okay, so this one is like more real life to me because we like to think everybody's gonna stay forever, right? But they don't always stay forever. So last summer, I had a newborn come to me. The mom used to come to or came to Mommy Mixer. So she brought her newborn to me because basically she would stop breathing all the time, basically. So the parents weren't sleeping because they were watching her sleep to watch her stop breathing. Long story short. So obviously I adjusted her atlas. She healed. She did amazing. They stayed through maybe the summer. Maybe they stayed 2 or 3 months. And they left because they said their schedules were crazy or whatever the case may be. Fast forward about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the mom texted the office and said she wanted to come back. So she came back with Blair and she said, things have just not been right. And she said, I knew immediately when these things were happening with Blair that she just needed to get adjusted, that you would tell me that the power inside of her could heal her and that something is just off and she needs to be here. And that's true. So immediately her daycare started saying her attitude, her behaviors, her meltdowns are better. She started walking after her first adjustment. And I just inherently put her down. I took her off the kids' table and I put her down, not realizing she didn't walk, I guess, or maybe I knew, maybe innately I knew. And she walked out of the office and the mom and dad were there and they're like, she doesn't walk. I was like, oh, well, she does today. So she walked out of the office and they've been great so far. So in my mind, I've decided this time they've learned and they're going to stay, but maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the fact that she knew that innate designed her baby to be perfect. And when she wasn't being perfect, that she was disconnected. I feel like that's a win.
That's a huge win because she could have let society and the daycare and her friends and maybe, her sister or brother who have kids tell her, you got to get that to, get that baby to a therapist or get them to somebody else. Right. And she remembered what you had taught her. And I think when we plant those seeds, we don't always get to sit under the shade of the trees that, that we plant. But when we plant those seeds, just to have the faith that sometimes they're going to land in fertile ground.
Right. We're all human. Awesome. Sometimes we need to fall off to realize how great it is. So.
Yeah. But what a difference that's going to make in that little girl's life, huh?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Mm-hmm. And so I'd say when students come to observe our office or anyone talks to us about seeing kids and how many kids we see, my one thing is you have to make sure that you're strong in your philosophy. Because if you're going to teach people to bring you their most prized possession, their baby, you have to be solid in your philosophy because they're not coming for their backs or their necks or their this. And a lot of times they might be motivated by a symptom like a colic or an ear infection, but a lot of times they won't either. If you honestly teach them how it works, they're going to come to you. And that's not, doing all these therapies to them. You have to be really solid in your philosophy and able to teach that to your people if that's the practice that you want, which is the practice that I took.
Right. So I know there's going to be a question from somebody who's watching that says, okay, you're near a military base, you're taking care of a lot of military families. How is that? And how does that, what kind of tone does that set in your practice?
So I'd say, so our offices are cash to begin with, which is awesome. There's no barrier with insurance with military because they don't cover chiropractic care. So they're used to paying for services that they want, which is really awesome. Most of them already know that things that are covered aren't things that they want. So they're open to bringing their families. They know that the kind of healthcare system through the military is not really health. So they're usually pretty open to it, I will say. And it's different though. It's different because they travel a lot, right? So you can tell when they've come from somewhere that they've never been adjusted before or that they've been adjusted from places that aren't like us. So we just try to kind of teach them and teach them as much as we can. But they're really open. They can be a lot of fun. I give our military so much credit. The fact that they move around so much, they never know where they're going, what they're doing, and they really are invested in it. So it's fun to take care of them.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you doing that because I know we have military patients that come in our office and I've got a military family. So it means a lot to those families and it means a lot to the people who care about them. So thank you for stepping into that space and taking care of them. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I know we've got to talk a little bit about what we got coming up because you mentioned DE. Are you coming to DE in 2 weeks?
Not in July. We'll be there in October.
You'll be in October? Okay.
Yep.
July, we're back in Atlanta. So we'll be at the Marriott Northwest for DE. That's the weekend of July 27th through the 30th. So, DE starts on Thursday night. It goes till Sunday morning. You get there when you can get there. Go to lifede.com to get all the information and to get registered. As always, for me, I just get to pop in because I'm always teaching at the same time, but it's always a great place to get dipped, to get back into your philosophy, just to be around the people that matter and the people who love what you love so that you could stay connected and stay on fire for chiropractic. So hope to see you there July 27th through the 30th at DE at the Marriott Northwest. But we'll also be at the Marriott Northwest this weekend. GCC has one of our summer CEs coming up this weekend at the Atlanta Marriott Northwest. We've got Ty Talcott speaking. We've got John Davila, Jerry Hockman, Paul Bloomsack, Dan Tu. We've got a bunch of speakers for that. You'll get all of your CE credits in one weekend, so you can join us there at the Atlanta Marriott Northwest. That's the one right there off of Windy Hill by Papa Do's and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not familiar with that one, it's that one. Then seeing it along the bottom of the screen, we've got a lot of other events coming up. August, we'll be in Augusta. September, we'll be in South Georgia. October, we've got our Chiro Cup. You can get that information at chirocup.com or on our website at georgiachiropractic.org. But we will be back at Bridge Mill October 19th. That is the same weekend as DE, so you can play golf and then go to DE. But we'll be back at Bridge Mill where last year we sold out. It was a great, great day, beautiful weather, perfect group. It'll be just as good this year. We already ordered the weather to be perfect. So mark that on your calendar. And then we've got, of course, Savannah coming up in November and our convention in December. So lots of events coming up for you. We like to remind you about those. I'm sure we're going to sneak a philosophy event in there somewhere. We'll see where that's coming up and we'll get that added on our schedule. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Katie, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody that watches us now or on our replay. We look forward to seeing you this weekend at our Atlanta Summer CE. Take care, everybody.